Good morning. It's Monday. Agenda for the week is to treat beans. Treat lots and lots of beans. So you're going to get a steady dose of that. We're going to try and get stuff set up today to do so and hopefully run a box of beans through the treater, or a few boxes of beans through this afternoon. But it's going to take us a little bit of time to set up. I do have to do a little cleaning and wash the treater out a little bit. I never did anything after I got done with wheat other than drain the lines so that it was winterized, but we got a little cleaning to do before we're ready. We've got to get a bunch of stuff sorted out, get all our chemicals down there, so gonna take a little bit. I did, over the weekend, finish writing all of my scripts, and I'm making up my work plan stuff on my John Deere for corn planting and all of that. We can send the file to the 8RX pretty soon so that I can make sure that our monitors are all set up and working. We are waiting for just a couple of pieces on the planter yet. There's 2 hydraulic fittings and some hose clamps that may or may not show up today. We will see. If they do, we'll have Brock, who should be here today, put that stuff on. And the corn planter can come out of the shop really at any time. But it's raining today. It's supposed to rain all week. And it's going to be super wet by the end of the week from the way it sounds. So I'd rather not take that tractor and planter and stuff outside in the rain if I can avoid it. But we'll do what we have to do. So I don't really have anything else pressing to come into the shop. I do have some work to do to the sprayer yet. I think Phil would like to get a truck in there. Dad's working on a backhoe, a couple of other things that could come through, but nothing super pressing. So we'll see. But I would like to get our corn out of my seed warehouse and bring it into the back of the shop where I usually keep stuff. So that's something on the agenda too. But again, it's raining. Can't do that in the rain. So I have kept the heat running in the seed warehouse over the weekend, so it's warmish in there. But given that we're going to be working down there, I'm going to take some more heat down, and we may even grab another one of these. Dad, we've got 2 of them. Dad uses one in the wood shop there. He said I could take it if I wanted to, so we might do that while we're working down there. Well, that ought to warm it up in here. 200,000 BTUs, 100,000 BTUs, 125,000 BTUs. That's 425,000. Yeah, we ought to warm it up. I should probably get my CO detector. I had it in here last year when I was running at least 2 of these, and it never said anything other than 0. So I'm not too concerned about it, but it is a good thing to have just in case. So we do have to do a little bit of cleaning on this before I'm ready to use it. The tanks and the plumbing and the application side of stuff is pretty good shape, but I want to clean off the deck up top. We got some dirt and stuff. And the biggest thing is inside my atomizer. Wheat is super dusty, and I never washed this out after we got done with wheat. So we need to clean that up before we can run this and make sure we got all the weed out of it and maybe flush some water through just to make sure. But yeah, the tanks and everything should be in good shape. We gotta hook our hoses back up after I took stuff apart to drain it for the winter. So a little bit of prep work to do here. I would like to take it outside and use some water to just rinse the top and some of that other stuff off, but it's raining really hard. So I might wait. That rain's going to taper off here later this morning. Well, I cleaned up my table a little bit. We're warming up in here. I up to 48 degrees. It was down to 42 when I got here this morning, so that is good. I need to go back to the farm and sit on the computer for a little bit and make a plan. So all of this stuff needs treated, but what goes on what and how many of each is kind of what I need to know. So I'm going to go sit down and go through my customer list a little bit and see which of these boxes get what treatment. We're going to start with base stuff, save anything that's getting inoculant for towards the end or any of the biological stuff, because shelf life, and I mean, we're within a month of planting hopefully at this point, but it could be 2 or even 3 months, hopefully not, before some of this stuff gets planted. And the closer to planting you can treat it with an inoculant or the biologicals, the better. Now the chemical treatment, the fungicides and the insecticides, those don't matter. So that's why we're going to start with those and see how much of this stuff that we can do that way. So I got my spreadsheet updated, and we're loading up some chemicals to take down there. get started with some stuff, but our forklift will not start. And I don't know why. It will turn over, but it's like it's not getting any fuel. Well, we thought maybe it was out of fuel, even though the gauge said there was half a tank. So I dumped a little bit in there. It still didn't start, but we gave it a couple shots of ether, and then it did run. So I'm not sure why. I don't know if something's wrong with our fuel pump or our carburetor. It can't be the fuel pump if it's running now. I don't know. But we got it to run. Well, the rain has stopped. We had about 2/10 of an inch out of this shot, and yeah, that's, I think, today's rain. It's supposed to clear off this afternoon and tomorrow, and then tomorrow night start raining again. So we'll let this soak in for a few hours anyway. Okay, well, we got our treater cleaned up pretty well. Put some new cardboard down on the floor. That's a lot better than it was. And I'm gonna have Brock get a couple of boxes out. We're gonna try and treat 4 boxes of one variety and maybe 4 of another, depending on how well this goes. And what is he doing? He doesn't know what he's doing. Anyway, I've got my sheet here. This has got all of what I got to treat, and what treatment's going on stuff, and yeah. So not all of my beans are here yet, but we're getting close. Okay, well, Syngenta has this really cool seed care resource center where I can go in and make up my recipes, the combination of products over there that we're going to put into this, and it'll tell me how much I need for how many units I'm going to treat, how much to put in each tank, and all that kind of stuff. So the first ones that we're doing today is just our basic treatment, Cruiser Max Vibrance. I add a little extra apron in for better disease control. And I add some yellow colorants when it's just my base treatment to turn them orange instead of red. That's just, whoa, my chair broke. Fix that, Brock, please. That's just to help differentiate for me. Anytime I do a higher treatment where I'm adding in inoculant or heads up or any of the other premium stuff, I don't put the yellow colorant in, and then I can tell a difference and know that, hey, there's something extra on these beans. So we're gonna go ahead and get the first batch ready to go. We've got to cut a keg open and start mixing that. So I've got this chemical pump. It's a closed system where there's a draw port and a return port, and the pump will recycle stuff through there without it you don't ever have to be in contact with it. I cut that. Once you cut the band, you bought it, and I believe each one of these costs roughly $9,000 to $10,000. Ouch! Well, with the 3 heaters running in here, we've got it up to 66 degrees, so I was curious to see where our beans were at. They're not warm. Stick my hand in them, they feel cold, but I stuck a thermometer in there. 45 degrees, so that's good. We need them to be 40 degrees minimum, and that's down in there a fair ways, so it's not center of the box, but they're decent. They'll treat. So our pump is cycling there. We've got to circulate that keg. They say that long enough to turn it over 3 times, so I don't really know what our gallons per minute is on our pump, but there's 15 gallons in that keg, and we need to pump 45 gallons worth of fluid. We're just going to let it run for 10 or 15 minutes is what we're going to do. There, we'll pour some ketchup and mustard in our tank is what it looks like. Some bright yellow and some red. And then we'll start mixing them up. So we're using, for 4 boxes here, we're using 240 fluid ounces of the red, the Cruiser Max, 90 of the yellow colorant, and then that little jug there with 24 ounces in is the added fungicide and apron that we're going to use. Okay, so there's most of our chemical in the tank. I got that fungicide to put in yet. I'm going to let that drain and drip for just a little bit. Problem is then I got all that chemical residue on the inside of there, right? And so what I like to do is when I'm measuring the water to put in this tank, because I keep my water separate, I'll use it to rinse that jug out. So we end up with colored water in here. It's orange. That's why this tank is dirty, stained. It's because I use it for rinsing my jugs out, so it's not ever just clear water, but it's still mostly just water. Okay, so we've got water and chemical in the tanks, and now we're going to go ahead and get them started circulating. There it goes. So I turned on the recirculation line here, and you can see it working its way up there. And now it's going to pump it right back into the tank, into that corner there. We've got the agitator mixing. So we're going to let those mix up for a little bit and get everything flowing good, and then we got to prime the system. But yeah, it's gonna take it a minute. So we'll do the water one now. So it flows out through a filter, and you can see it come through there, pump, and it pumps it up through our flow meter, and there it goes up and back into the tank. Okay, so that's good. You can see here's a flow meter. That number doesn't mean much to me, but it'll figure it out on the computer so that it automatically adjusts the flow and stuff to match the rates that the pumps are putting out. Varies the speed of the pumps as necessary, and everything should be good. We do have to calibrate before we can get started, and so that's kind of the next step after we get everything mixed up real well. I've been trying to find a better way to do this. They make a calibration tube for some of the other treaters. I've been trying to find one or a way to adapt one to this, but for right now, we'll just measure it out and give you this tube. We'll catch it in a catch can over a certain amount of time. It tells you what it should catch or what you should have, and we compare it to what we catch, and then enter those calibration numbers in on the computer. So that's the next step. So here's our calibration screen. Actual rate, ounces per minute, is 33.98. We're going to run this test for 60 seconds, so it says we should catch 33.59. We aren't quite that accurate, but Brock's catching it over here into that jug. We'll see how much comes out in a minute. Once it runs out of the tube, we'll put that tube back into here just so it doesn't drip on the floor, and then we'll take it over, set it on our nice and super level table, which I'm sure is nice and super level, and see how much is in there. So our liquid level is right there. Looks like 36 to me. So the pump says that we put in 33.82. Calibration tube total is 36. So we'll change that, and then we'll hit update the ratio. So now it's gonna changes it by 6% basically. I think that's what that means, 1.06. We'll pour that back in, run the test again. All right, we have got our pumps both calibrated, and I feel good about them. So next step is to prime our hoses all the way to our atomizer, which is inside there. I will explain how this treater works a little more in depth some other day, but this is what you get today. I gotta save material because we're gonna be doing this a lot, so yeah. But anyway, there's a button right here. It says prime to atomizer. So we hold that, and it turns the pumps on, and eventually we will be able to actually see fluid move through that hose right up to the end there. And if it was quiet enough, I could hear it when it hits the atomizer. But it is not quiet enough for that. It might take it a minute here.
I don't like how big a peak there is though.
Well, I just saw it. You can see it bubbling through there now. We're working the air out, so I think we're good there. Well, I'm scratching my head here, but I think we're ready for a box. So we're gonna set a box of beans up there, and we got to dig out empty my start box that we can treat into, and then we're gonna run these 4 boxes here. So we set this down on top of that square there, and that's the beans come out right in the bottom. So we'll try not to set the forks on anything. Perfect. Then he can back out. So that is good. Now we should be able to, on our main screen, see box weight, 1,833 pounds, which should be pretty close to what this box weighs. May not be perfect, but it's got to be close. Keeps going in here. We might actually have to turn the heaters off. All right, let's do it. So we got to open our box. And there's a gate on the treater, so it doesn't let the beans through just yet. And then we hit our start setup, and I already set up everything so that it knows what we're treating with, what variety we're treating, the seed lot number, seed size, all of that stuff. So I should be able to hit start, and everything should go. find out. Auger's on, atomizer's on. That green light means that it sees seed. Going, flows on. Okay, we want these to turn green. We'll give them a minute to adjust. Get their rates dialed in. Holy crap, we got red beans right out of the gate. They look really, really wet. Super wet. Those got lots of treatment on them. Regulate. Dial it in here. Dial it in. Why are we putting it on so heavy? Now we'll figure it out. They look better. A little wet. Whoever gets the first box is going to get extra treatment. There we go. There we go. We're green. We're dialing it in. Getting better. Getting better. I think I got everything set right. Those look better. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. Well, for a first box, those look fantastic. Great coverage. Good color. They look great. So now that that one's empty, we're going to give our box a shake. Just to knock any more off. Close the gate. Make sure you close the gate. Don't want to know what happens if you don't close the gate. And then hit pause. That shuts our auger down, and now we switch boxes. We'll take that one, set it over in front of the door out of the way. This one comes down and gets put on, underneath the auger, and we grab the next one and put it up on top. So now we're working on the second box, and there's another step we've got to add, a label. We have to label all of these as treated seed so that yeah, you know what's on them and all the restrictions and the warnings and all of that stuff. That's the legal requirement, and I have this roll of stickers that we slap one on every box that ends up with treated seed in it. Dang, them are pretty. They look really good, like really good. Well, we're working on variety number 2, our second set of 4 boxes. Still seems to be going all right. We were getting treatment on a little heavy both runs when we started, and I don't know why. Yeah, a little frustrating because this stuff's expensive, and while I certainly don't want to short my customers, I don't really want to over apply it either because I can't afford to do so. But we're figuring it out, so we're going to run one more through, and then that's all we're going to do today. We'll get set up to run more tomorrow, I think. All right, well, we got those done. It is nice and warm in here. We're making plenty of heat. In fact, I took my sweatshirt off because it was so warm. But running these cold beans through, we're getting a lot of sweat and condensation. Our floor's sweating, which is not ideal, but it is what it is. There's not a lot I can do about it. Keep pumping heat in until we evaporate it out, I guess. Open the doors and let some humidity out, but then it gets cold again. So we're gonna keep moving with it. We got 6 boxes done. That's a good start. I may try and make some deliveries. Maybe tomorrow we'll do that because I got to keep getting stuff out of here as we treat in order to make room for more stuff, because now that I've got these boxes treated, I can't put the lids back on and put them back in front of the rows where they came from, because I'll bury the untreated and not be able to get to them. So if I can keep moving stuff out as we go here, that would be a huge advantage, and we're going to try and do that. Tomorrow's supposed to be decent during the day and then rainy towards the afternoon, evening, so maybe we'll do something other than treat beans for tomorrow, but we'll see. I talked to one of my customers, or guys that I custom treat for, that's got a couple thousand units to me, where I load the treater up and go to him, and we're going to do his next week, Wednesday and Thursday, so that's a few days off. But another thing to note, I am on my spreadsheet here keeping records of every lot, what variety, the seed size, the lot number, what treatment's going on it, how many units, who they're for. And then I got some other stuff I got to continue to fill in there as well. So just so I have records of everything. And then I actually like to take a little plastic bag, Ziploc bag here, and pull a sample from every batch. So not every box, but from every batch. So I've done 2 batches of 4 boxes each here. So I'll scoop a couple of beans out of each box there, or a sample out of them, and put them in a bag. That way I have it. Golden Harvest actually provides me with a testing protocol or a sampling deal where I can send in a bag of beans in a little envelope like this to a lab. They will test it, make sure that it is properly loaded, has the right amount of treatment on each individual bean, and that we're doing a good job and accurate with our treatment. And so I get, I think, 5 of them a year. I always like to send them in just to make sure that we're doing a good job. So far, everything looks good. If anything, we're a little bit heavy on the treatment, but we're getting it dialed in. All is good. All right, it is about 4:30 now. Brock had a, I don't know, emergency run, whatever it was. So he left. I assume he'll be back, but we're going to be done down there for this afternoon. Tomorrow, when we get back there, we'll dump those boxes back into the boxes that they came out of. I'll explain it then, but yeah, that way everything's labeled correctly and everything's right when we do that. So I'm going to come back to the farm. I'm going to spend a little more time working on the computer and getting some stuff ready. See if any of my parts came for the corn planter. We can work on that a little bit, and then it'll be time to go home. They are putting a roof on our barn today. That's awesome. I'm excited about that. Hopefully they'll finish it tomorrow. Then when I take the corn planter out of the shop, I'll have somewhere to put it, inside. Well, no hydraulic fittings, but my clamps came. So these are for these hoses that we put on here. Go like this. Come on. Like that, and that, and then we tighten them down. Okay, well, we had a good day. Got the treater rolling, got some beans done. That's a good thing. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Probably gonna treat some beans. I don't know. I'm waiting on one of my big custom ones to tell me exactly what he wants on his beans, because I got a bunch of them down there that are ready to be treated. But I don't want to do it until he tells me what he wants on them. So anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great night. Hit that like and subscribe buttons. If you have any questions and comments, leave them down below, and we'll see you tomorrow. All right, well, I am making up some more prescription maps, and since my screen record didn't work in the last video, I'm going to try it again here and see if it works this time. So here's the screen that we're using. This is John Deere's, what they use for prescription creator with my John Deere Agrian. And so the first thing we're going to do is tell it we're doing an application or a seeding prescription, Borderview Farms. This is our farm. This one happens to be right across the road from the main farm here. Field 10-1. It needs a boundary, so I use my most recent boundary. This one happens to have been created in 2018. And then we need to choose a layer of what we're going to use to make our zones. I use average yield, so we click on that. It's going to pull up all the yield history that we have. So we're going to do a corn prescription, so we're going to use corn, and we're going to use the last 3 years of data that we have. I've started not using all of it because, well, 2009 was a long time ago, and like 2012 here was a pretty terrible year, so let's throw that data out and just use our 3 most recent. And then we want to pick what we want. I mean, we could base it off the relative humidity, apparently. I don't know why. That's dumb to me, but we want harvest yield. Let's be reasonable. And then we hit next. And on my other screen that you guys can't see, over here, I've got all of those fields, and so this is the one we're working on. There's 37.2 acres. The variety is 03B96. I should just drag this over to the screen where you guys can actually see it when we're working on it. But here is our map. It pre-populates the zones based on trying to keep the acres the same for all of them, more so, or roughly. Those numbers don't mean anything to me though, right? So 156, 168, and I try and break them up into numbers that make sense. So I'm gonna do anything less than 120, and then between 120 and 150, 150 to 180, and then 180 to 210, and 210 plus. Oh, this one doesn't have anything over that 210, so we gotta redo this. So we're just gonna temporarily throw a 190 in there, update the map. And as soon as that loads, I can tell it I only want 4 zones. Update it again. It's a little slow sometimes. Okay, so now we gotta put our numbers in. 120, 150, 180, and then 195. 34 is the top in this particular field. So, okay, so this is our new map, and those are our zones. You can see it's not nearly as pretty and colorful and as many zones as what they had initially. The red is just this little tiny bit here in the back, but I mean, those are trees and crappy areas that aren't going to grow anything anyway, which is why I put that really low 120 zone in there and leave it that way, so that we just save a little bit where we're not going to be able to produce a crop very good. Anyway, now these dark green areas, those are the best areas of this field. Those are the areas that we can push a little bit harder and try and increase our yields more there. So we want to create a variety prescription. We're going to select our product, and in this field I'm planning on planting 03B96. Okay, we can close this. So this is what we're looking at here, and we need to assign a value, a seeding rate to each one of those zones. So I haven't done any 03B96 yet, so let me pull up, I'll drag this screen over so you guys can see it. My seeding rate calculator. We got to reload it because it timed out. So Golden Harvest provides this. It is a really good way to get a good seeding rate, and you can put in a couple of different inputs here. First thing we need to do is select our hybrid 03B96 and then tell it what our projected grain price is, and you can go anywhere from $2 to $6, and right now we can sell corn for like $6.50. So we're just going to drag that all the way to the top, and then you can put in your seed cost, and I actually do this based on each individual one. This one happened to be a little bit more expensive hybrid. We did not pay that much for all of our seed, trust me. But then it gives me this nice yield or planting rate curve based on those parameters and this particular hybrid and how it should be planted. And this one is a little bit of a steeper curve than some, but it starts really low, like really low. So we go down here to this 120, it says to only plant it at 18,500. That's the lowest of anything that I've seen. I'm gonna write these down because it's easier for me to keep track of rather than keep coming back to this page. So at 120, it says 18.5. Wow. At 150, it's up to 20, we're gonna call that 22,000. At 180, and see, this is where I'm matching up those numbers that I put in there. We're up to 24.2, we'll call it 24.5. That's still really low. I don't know if I can plant this low. In 210, we're at 28,000. And in a 240, which is my top zone, which there's none of it in this field, so it doesn't matter, but 32.5 we'll call it. 18.5, I don't know. Of course, it's a really small area that gets that. So, all right, so then we go back to our prescription creator and we type those values in. 18,500, 22,000, 24,500, which is the bulk of the field, and that's really low. And then 28,000. I might have to dig into this one a little bit further and just talk to my agronomist and see if he really thinks that hybrid should be that low, because I don't know. Our standard rate is like 32,000. And there is nothing here that's getting even close to that. So they've got another spot where there's a specific page on Golden Harvest's website for each hybrid and this one, and it has another little population seeding rate thing, and it's similar, 19, 23, 31. Those yield numbers aren't quite the same, but of course theirs at 240 says 37,000, and this chart over here said 32,000. So I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna go with it for now. We may change that later. 80,000 in a bag. So then I'm taking this 9,000 or 940,000 number, I'm dividing it out by how many acres are in the field. And if anybody from John Deere is watching this, this is something you can do to improve this. Make it calculate my seeds per acre, because I need that information and it doesn't show it to me, so I have to calculate it out myself. So there's 37.2. That's 25,269 is our average seeding rate there. That'll make a bag go a long ways. 25,269. Now, one thing I do know about this hybrid, it has crappy stalks. It will go down, doesn't stand very well, and so that part of why they're recommending a lower planting rate is to improve the standability of it. Now, I know that this hybrid has poor standability, and so I plan on spraying a fungicide on it, and I plan on harvesting it super early so it's not there that long. So I'm mitigating that risk, which means I can probably push the populations up just a little bit more than what they're selling me. But anyway, next thing we need is to make a starter prescription. So we're gonna scroll down here and add a tank mix. And what tank mix do I want to use there? We're gonna go blend 1. I've got 3 different starters, and this one, the rate is 7, 8.7, 10.5, and 12.3. There would be a 14 if there was a high zone. There is not. Then we do the same thing. We take 403 divided by 37.2. That's 10.8 average. Starter blend 1. Yes. 10.8. Okay, and then we need an anhydrous rec, so we're going to add a fertilizer. Select product, 8200, 105, 130, 160, 185, and we would have a 200, but again, we don't. 6113 divided by 37.2 is 164 pounds an average in our sitegrass. 164. And that's how we make up our scripts. Hit save. Questions?